Today, I'm travelling by train for 80 hours from my home of London, 2,500 miles across Europe to Istanbul. Following in the tracks of the original Orient Express, join me as I cross 9 countries over 4 days on my most ambitious trip to date, involving sleeper trains for each of the 3 nights to some of the fastest trains on the planet and some not so fast ones. Of course, over such a distance, it's never going to be plain sailing or, well, railing. Come along on this adventure starting at London's historic St Pancras station on Monday morning at 8 AM. Well, hello there and welcome back to the channel, where I'm going to be taking one of these trains behind me under the sea over to mainland Europe. So without any more to say, let's head downstairs, go check in and begin our journey all the way over to Istanbul. It might all look quite quiet and serene up here. Down there, where I've got to go check in, is a completely other story. But thankfully, I'm booked onto business class for this trip, or well, business premier. In contrast, this is a lot less crowded with a separate security channel. Unfortunately, this efficiency bottlenecks at passport control. I'm technically entering France here, whilst still in England. This is so when I get to the other side, there are no checks, and I simply get straight off the train. Let's briefly check out the sanctuary of the business lounge for that obligatory caffeine hit and my first taste of the continent in form of a morning pastry. Just as I begin to wake up, I'm told it's time to board, so let's hot-foot it with the crowds up to the platform and get on this train that goes under the sea. Well, finally, almost made it to the very front of the train, which is car 16. So, without any more to say, let's go and get on board. As I stow my luggage in the overhead, let's check out the seat map of Eurostar Business Premier. I've opted for the solo seat 11 right at the front. Whilst not private, it's more than adequate for this 2-hour hop to Paris. As we go along on this journey, I'll explain how much each segment costs. This business class ticket set me back a cool £274. Now that's a lot of cash for the convenience. To offset some of this pain, I'm promptly served a refreshing glass of champagne and some nuts. As we glide through the English countryside, I'm trying to comprehend that it will be 4 days before I can sleep in a proper bed again. Yep, that's right, I'm going to be constantly on the move until Thursday. And just like that, we begin to head into the 50-kilometre long Channel Tunnel. This link has been in place since its completion in 1994 and is arguably the quickest way commercially from England to France. So quick in fact, I dozed off and woke up in Calais. Now on French soil, lunch is served, consisting of a coronation salad, a chicken and quinoa something, and some chocolate cake. And just like that, we roll into Gare Du Nord, and I'm faced with my first major setback. As I'm excitedly explaining how we're heading to Munich for the Euro sleeper service, I get a notification through on my phone. Long story short, my booked high-speed TGV will arrive into Munich too late to catch my night train to Budapest. Oh, with the whole trip in jeopardy, I frantically look for another option. After trawling forums and booking sites, I managed to get one of the last tickets on an imminent departure to Zurich. I'll still need to work out how to get to Budapest, but at least this keeps me moving for now. The TGV Lira I've booked for Zurich departs from the other side of Paris at Gare de Lyon, so let's grab the metro, of course still within the rules of being by rail, and head over there now. Well, I have got here. The train is now slightly delayed. Not the plan, not the original plan at all, but as I've explained, things have changed, and I've had to kind of, well, work out what to do. So we're going on the TGV Lira, which is a high-speed rail service between France and Switzerland, and it needs to be. We're behind schedule. Never been on a TGV before, so this will take us all the way over to Switzerland, first class. Let's go to this way. Seating is over 2 levels with better views sought on the upper floor and arranged in a 1-2 config. Unfortunately, due to booking one of the last tickets, I'm in the aisle, but hey, at least I'm on the way somewhere. I noticed there's high-speed Wi-Fi on board, and given I'm also rather peckish, let's head to the dining car for a bite to eat and work out how to get to Budapest tonight. The dining car offers a half-decent selection of grab-and-go food. Sadly, first class does not get anything inclusive here, which is a shame given my last-minute ticket set me back, wait for it, €180. Yuck. As I tuck into my early dinner, let's have a think about our options here. I've ascertained my original route from Munich meets the Zurich train departing this evening at Salzburg. If I can get on this train, even if it's just to Vienna, we're in luck. After trying multiple times, I keep getting this error. I wonder whether it's because it's so soon before we depart, so I think my only option is to head to the ticket office when we get to Zurich and try and work out a solution. Well, hello from Switzerland. Arrived in third country today. Now I've got to work out where I've got to go next. I've got an appointment with the ticket office. You have to register an appointment apparently because there's so much demand. I'm hoping to get on one of these night trains tonight. Find out what happens next, along with the other adventures on my way to Istanbul, after a quick word from today's video sponsor, Babbel. Babbel is my #1 language app. It uses award-winning tech with lessons designed by real language teachers, scientifically proven to get you speaking in just 3 weeks. Gracias. Given that travel is very much back on the agenda, Babbel should definitely be on your list in order to prepare you for your long-awaited summer adventure. I use Babbel's short 10-minute interactive lessons daily to keep my language skills growing. And what I love is that it's designed to prepare you for situations that you'll actually encounter in the real world, learning practical conversations in your chosen language to use on your travels. For example, when I have some downtime during my trips, I'm able to grab my daily lessons, and in this instance with a cup of Turkish coffee. Por ejemplo, ¿dónde está la estación de tren? Of course, practice does make perfect, which is why I'll be continuing my daily lessons in preparation for my trip to South America. Babbel can be used to learn a new language, for work, for travel, or simply as a new hobby. So do give Babbel a try and receive 65% off your subscription. Use my link down below to take you right to that discount. Thanks again Babbel for sponsoring today's video. Well, I'm excited to say I did it. I've managed to get onto the Nightjet sleeper train as far as Vienna. I've got the very last compartment, but I've got it. We're still not out the woods yet, but it gets me much closer to my onward train from Budapest tomorrow. Right, let's grab some supplies and go get on board. So there's me thinking I'd secured a bed, and whilst this somewhat resembles one, it's with a significant twist. Let me explain. Well, welcome to my little sleeper room. So this is what I think you could describe as a third-class sleeper. Usually 6 people would fill this room, but for me, and thanks to the lovely lady at the Zurich ticket office, I've got the entire compartment to myself. These apparently do fold flat, so I will get some form of bed. This isn't what I imagined this evening, but we'll roll with it. This is part of the adventure. My smile did get reduced somewhat when I found out upon departure that you don't actually get any bed linen. So how much did I pay for this room? Well, €179. That's the price, unfortunately, I have to pay for one delayed train and missing my comfy ensuite bedroom I would have had from Munich. Let's get ready for bed then. There's a bathroom at each end of the carriage, which is passable though not the cleanest. There are no showers either. At least I have my own PJs though. Freshly changed, let's get my teeth brushed and then head over and get into bed. I certainly do need it after today's ordeal. Thankfully the door does lock and the curtain goes kind of across the cabin, not quite. To convert the bed, each seat is pushed down into a semi-lay flat position and creates a kind of mattress. With that, I'm going to try and get some sleep. I'll catch you all in the morning. So it's like 1:30 in the morning. I've had someone come and check my tickets, which is just wild at this time of night. I've had someone try and break into the room. I've had someone's alarm going off.
The next day.
Well, good morning. I can't say that was the best sleep of my life. You'll have to excuse my bad mood. In honesty, I'm incredibly lucky to have somewhere to sleep, as so many in the world don't even have that. We're actually not far from Vienna, and I've just booked my onward connection to Budapest. Things are looking up.
welcome to Vienna, Austria. We are straight on to Hungary, Budapest, Couchette, platform 10. Let's head there now. Well, welcome on board.
Funnily enough, this Hungarian first-class day train appears to be equivalent to what I've just slept in. You have to laugh at that. Anyway, what's the damage for this 3-hour ride to Budapest? It comes in at €80, which I feel is pretty expensive, but again, probably because I booked this just 30 minutes ago. The train is pretty much deserted, which suits me perfectly. I can catch up on some of those lost Z's. And thanks to the EU, you don't even notice the border between the two countries, and there are no passport checks.
Welcome to Hungary, specifically Budapest. Goodness me, this trip is really, well, I say probably only about halfway. We've still got an awful lot more to cover.
I have around an hour before my next train here in Budapest, so let's head to the business lounge and grab a coffee. It's a nice enough space to hang between trains and comfortably puts UK train loungers to shame. Right, it's time to go and catch our train to Romania, and for quite the step back in time.
Certainly feels like going back in time. Oh, well, hello. Welcome to, a pretty unique train. This is certainly a little bit different to what we've been on so far.
After looking down at my ticket, I realise there's an air-conditioned section. Without needing a second glance, let's hot-foot it to the AC car. This is much better. Yes, it's dated, but at least it's cool. So this train is the cheapest of my travels at only €10. It should take us around 4 hours to reach Arad in Romania, which incidentally is also in Transylvania, the home of Dracula. But I'm not here to see Dracula, in fact I'm catching a private sleeper train, which I'm told has an ensuite shower. My word, I cannot wait for that. In contrast, I thought I'd check out the facilities on board this train. It was absolutely filthy, and thank goodness smell-o-vision isn't invented yet. We continue to hurtle through the Hungarian countryside, and for the first time I can relax a bit. I'm back on track. There's no quick changes to make, and I can actually enjoy myself. In about 3 hours, we'd reach the border town of Lokoshaza, sorry that's horribly pronounced. Whilst both Hungary and Romania are in the EU, Romania are not a Schengen country, which means they still have a hard border. The Hungarian side is quick, and we're trundling through no man's land in between the two countries in no time at all. The same cannot be said about the Romanian side. To be fair, it's partly due to changing the locomotive, but this also meant the aircon switches off. Therefore, I've decided to head out for some fresh air. We're notified there's a 15-minute delay, but thankfully I have a good 2-hour buffer before my next train. Finally the Romanian loco arrives, so I get back on board, and to my delight the air conditioning has returned, and so has my passport. Next stop, Arad, Transylvania.
Well, that caught me by surprise, because I was minding my own business, just watching some TikTok, and then realised, oh crap, we're at Arad. So anyway, welcome to Arad station here in Romania. Now it is time to basically I've got to get some food, I've got to sort of get some supplies on, because we're on our next train in, well, about 2 hours time.
Well, I had a great time exploring Arad, albeit only a small fraction of the city. I saw the Holy Trinity Cathedral, an antique steam train, even saw some Soviet mosaics. Bald and Bankrupt would be having a field day here. Though I was most happy to find a pizzeria for some warm comfort food after having very little in the last 36 hours. With that, let's head back into the station and check out this private train taking us over to the capital, Bucharest.
Let's go and find platform 1, which I think is just through here.
This is the self-proclaimed best train in Romania, and you can see why. It the Astra Trans Carpatic, featuring a mix of sleeper cars, seating and luxury carriages. I'm happy to say we're in the best room on board tonight. This train actually goes all the way to Constanta on the Black Sea. Perhaps I'll need to try this another day.
Oh wow, welcome. This is certainly nicer than what I had to deal with last night. Let me get myself settled in and I'll show you all around. I'm just so excited to have a proper bed with sheets tonight. You've no idea.
How much is this indulgence, you rightly ask? At 200 Romanian leu, it's for sure the best bargain of this entire trip. As we glide out of Arad, let me fill you in on our route this evening. At roughly 400 miles, it should take us 11 or so hours over to Bucharest. As this is such a unique train, I'll briefly show you the other classes of travel. First up in the adjacent carriage is the second class sleeper. These are not too dissimilar to mine, but are not en suite. Next up the Couchette, which would be ideal for a family on a budget. Lastly, coach class. Not that I'd be one for sitting overnight, but at $1 a night, I'm sure there'd be some savvy takers. With the sun setting, let's take a look around my luxury sleeper room. Naturally, it's air conditioned and fully adjustable. There are also two quite oddly placed power outlets by the window. You can transform this single sleeper room into two berths by popping this bed down. They were both made up when I got in, but I've pushed this back up to enjoy the additional space granted.
I have to say this is a lot more comfortable than what I was doing last night in that room. It just wasn't quite. I should hopefully be able to actually get some sleep tonight. The first port of call is to go and get a shower because I haven't had a shower and been rushing around all the way from the UK. It is time to do so.
No need to say that twice. Let's boot the Tims off and head straight into my ensuite for a warm shower. Crikey, I'm excited. The ensuite boasts a toilet and a red sink setup, but the shower is all I care about now. Unfortunately, the pressure is among the worst I've had on board a train. Being in there for long enough, it worked absolutely fine. Soap is also provided, thankfully.
Wow, I can honestly say I feel $1,000,000. I might not look it, but I feel so much better. You can't beat having a shower when you've been travelling like I have.
With that, I think it's time to get into bed, so let's get those teeth brushed and straight to sleep. There's a proper duvet and fluffy pillow provided. Yeah, it's not 5-star luxury, but it's certainly very comfortable. I'm understandably out like a light. Night all.
The next day.
Well, good morning. I feel like a totally new man. Right, anyway, let's see what the day has in store for us and what's out of the window.
Unfortunately, no breakfast is provided, but I still do have one thing on my mind: another shower. With the final 17-hour train journey coming up in a few hours with no shower facilities, I'm certainly going to take advantage of having another one this morning.
That is much better. Fresh natter t-shirt on, get some fresh socks on as well. New man.
Sadly, I have yet another concern pop up. I realise we're running close to 2 hours behind schedule, but I only have a 3-hour buffer for my next train. The issue is that my reserved tickets still need to be collected, and the queues at the moment at stations are often in excess of 1 hour. The race is on.
Welcome to Bucharest. We have finally made it. Now I've got to go and sort out tickets because the next stop is Turkey. Looking an awful lot quieter than I anticipated.
After days of seeing queues out the door of ticketing offices around Europe, I'm so relieved to find literally not a soul waiting in the queue for the international ticket office. Crises averted. Now I can take it easy. I have a full hour before the train departs. There's time for a leisurely Starbucks for that necessary caffeine hit, and to stock up on supplies as this 17-hour train has no catering facilities at all. Finally, it's time to head to platform 2. Confusingly, this states Sofia, and there's good reason for this. The Turkish segment of this train is only one carriage. We'll be split from this train when we reach Bulgaria and connect to another train on the way to the Turkish border. To my surprise, the train arrives promptly, and sure enough, a sole Turkish sleeper carriage glides into the platform. I have to say, this is perhaps the part of the journey I'm most looking forward to. It's also the longest section of the trip, with 2 hard border crossings to contend with.
Well, here we go. As I said, just this Couchette carriage here is the only part that is going to Istanbul. Let's go get on board. Well, welcome. Welcome to my little Couchette, or at least it's a 4-berth Couchette, but I've booked the whole thing. So, let me get settled in and I'll show you all around. We're in here for 17 hours. I'm hoping that there is some air conditioning, because currently there isn't, but I'm assuming that's because the loco's off, so fingers crossed that is the case.
Oh, how wrong I was. It's not working. More on that in a minute. As we trundle out of Bucharest station, let's talk costs. What did this ticket cost me? Well, I bought out the whole cabin, as I value my privacy on trips like these.
Just been informed of the unfortunate situation that the air conditioning is not working. Apparently it will work when we're in Bulgaria. I really hope so, because it is warm.
So let's take a look around my Couchette. Ordinarily it's for 4 people, but I feel that would be pretty uncomfortable with 3 strangers. You'd certainly get to know them after 17 hours in here. There's some stowage space at the top of the cabin, which was more than enough for me, though probably a little tight if you've got 4 of you. There's also a power point which, well, isn't working at the moment due to the unfortunate lack of any electricity. Now, with no power, we have to use the Bulgarian carriage toilet. It's perhaps the worst toilet I've ever been into, ever, period. The less I have to think about that, the better. Let's crack open my supplies then. First up, some sandpea to attempt to rehydrate through this heat. Thankfully, with the window ajar, the breeze made it quite pleasant whilst we're moving, so I opted to take a nap. Right, I make it lunchtime. What have I bought? Well, options are quite limited, and as I can't read Romanian, it's anyone's guess what I've ended up with. I believe this is kind of a chicken gyros. It was spicy, it had fries inside, but was dry and just made me feel incredibly thirsty. Ah well, at least it was filling. It's not long until we reach the Romanian-Bulgarian border, another hard one as both are non-Schengen. It's unfortunately become a sauna in here, with no through breeze coming in. Hopefully AC is just another border crossing away.
So I thought I would pop outside and try and get a little bit of fresh air, because it's so warm inside. I've been told that once we cross over the border into Bulgaria, that the new loco pulling the train apparently will sort the electricity problem that we've got at the minute.
I even made a new friend, our Turkish conductor on board. We spoke a little through Google Translate and both agreed it was too hot. With that and stamped out of one country, we can proceed across the Danube to Bulgaria. Now this gets pretty interesting as we're crossing the Danube Bridge, which is Europe's longest steel bridge at 7,000 metres long. A few minutes later we arrive at the Bulgarian border, and I wait in anticipation to hear whether the AC issue will be sorted. Another 14 hours of this would be absolute hell.
Well, I have great news. One is I've got my passport back, so officially I've entered Bulgaria. But more pertinent, probably not because it's actually quite important, is the fact that the air conditioning is now working, which I'm super relieved about.
Right, we're back on the move again, though only briefly as we come to another prolonged stop at Gorna Orivosta. It seems the train is being reshuffled, but also means the AC is switched off once more, so I'm left with one option. So it turns out we've got quite a bit of time here at the station, so I thought I'd go and investigate what it's like in this random Bulgarian town. Putting an awful lot of trust in Google Translate, I just spoke with our Turkish conductor explaining, hey, can I go for 5 minutes? So apparently we've got like 45 minutes here, but... Yeah, I still have my doubts, so we'll make this a brief excursion. Now to go on the hunt for some refreshments. I can't say downtown Gorna Orivosta looks like there's much going on.
Well, I've got to be honest, I struck gold. Yeah, cold beer.
As you can see, the new loco has now been attached. And this means we should have AC again, or at least when we get on the move in just a second. That will go perfectly with my picnic dinner, which I'll be rustling up in just a moment. I think I can feel the air conditioning is about to come back on, so I can get that window closed. I mean, as far as beers go, a Stika tastes alright. Right then, as alluded to, dinner time. Start with some fresh bread, some cheese, salami, and some salad. Let's see what we can make. Well, given that it's been hot in this cabin all day, I'm actually rather concerned that the heat may have turned this cheese and meat. Thankfully, as I edit this, I can confirm it was okay. As we meander through the Bulgarian countryside, I think it's time to check out the loo, now the electricity makes it operational. At the rear there's a standard toilet, which is kept clean enough, though as I read online beforehand thankfully, it's often toilet paperless, so make sure you bring your own. Back in my cabin, I'm going to try and get some rest. We have 2 lengthy border crossings coming up at around midnight, so I'd like to get some rest beforehand. I've decided to sleep on the upper bunk for once. I'll need this ladder for access. The bunk retracts at the pull of a lever. It looks pretty inviting now that the couchette is cool from the AC and there's fresh linen on the bed. Do let me know though, would you sleep up here? Right, let's get those Timbs off and head up into my bunk. Getting up here is precarious to say the least, but once you're up here, it's stable and surprisingly really comfy. There's no curtain or blind provided, so being up here is marginally darker, which will be useful for the early 5 AM sunrise. I'm woken all of a sudden by shouting border force officials, possibly not the most reassuring thing to be woken up by. This is certainly quite an intimidating border. For some reason our tickets are checked yet again by the conductor. I find this most strange, but hey. We then glide across no man's land past the EU and Bulgarian flags, and to a hard stop at the Turkish border. Everyone has to get off here with all of your luggage.
Well, this is far too early in the morning to be up sorting these formalities out.
It's organised chaos, with queues going in for passport checks, merging with the queues to x-ray your bags. Somehow it's all done within around 45 minutes and we're allowed back on the train. Back on board. Time to get myself settled back in. It's around, I think, at my best estimate, 6 or 7 hours over to Istanbul. I'm going to try and get some proper rest now. I read online apparently they come by and check your ticket again, so I'm just going to be conscious of that, and then finally I'll be able to get some sleep. But this is not a relaxing end to the trip.
The next day.
Well, good morning. That was all of a sudden, literally, dude came to get my bedding. I had no choice. Wow.
Certainly a strange way to wake up, having a Turkish gentleman demand your bedding back. Anyway, we're around an hour or so out of Istanbul, so all that remains is for me to crack into my breakfast, which I bought back in Romania, the European staple, a 7-day croissant. It hits the spot, but it's certainly nothing special. Well, it's with great pleasure that I welcome you to Istanbul. What an incredible journey this has been across the entirety of Europe. Anyway, do let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll catch you all again next week.